if you could time travel, whether that's forward or backwards, what time period would it be, and where would you go?
Okay, so
My time travel would definitely be, I think it's, so they say the pyramids were built in 2650 BCE. I would want to go before that and see if it's there, or see if it's there. I think it was there. That's what I'm saying. I think all that shit was there, and they just inhabited it, and they
then they
put
were
their
like,
name
we
on
built
it.
like
Yes.
it's an urban legend.
Yes.
I could see
Because
that.
they have a lot of text saying that they helped, mold it and
Yeah.
like refurbish it essentially. But basically, to be able to go before then and it's there, then I can say, haha, motherfuckers.
Do you think it was like the pyramids,
But
they
they
just kind of
put
cleaned
it
it up?
there.
Well, see, that's
Someone had to put it there.
because, like, you could do like 10,000 years ago, or like it would be so hard to have 24 hours and pick a time period to see like if it was constructed or when it was constructed. I just want to abrupt the standard timeline and say, oh, this is when it was.
Yep.
Well, let's go back to that time, and if it's there, then you're all fucking wrong, and then we got to revisit all things. That's
Fair.
But I think it would be cool.
Bro, what's an answer that brings more questions?
If you want.
I said, bro, what's an answer that brings more questions?
Yeah.
But then, like,
Open
who
topic.
then put it there?
Well,
Even if they just took it over, who put it?
I think
It's not just a rock formation, like rock.
I think we'll never know who did it, but I think we could definitely find when they did it. Well, not little green people. But
So you think we can find a when, but not a who? Do you think we'll ever know a how?
No, I don't.
So
think
the only
we'll
thing you know
ever
is maybe a when, but that's it.
because our
So what do you do with that? The fucking carbon dating?
So that's how they do it now, is the carbonating, but
Yeah.
you can only carbonate the material in between the actual stones. So you can't carbonate the stones. That's the problem.
Okay.
So it's more or less of, we can't carbonate the stones. So I want to see when it was actually built. And I don't even know how it was built, because that might, that'd be cool too. But
That's might drive you crazy.
yes. But that's just because, with the Sphinx, and there's the water erosion on the Sphinx that no one can deny anymore, and that's 10,000 years old, and they can base it off of the climate and when the actual rainfalls were occurring, because the whole the Sahara, everything obviously is dry as fuck, so there's not active rainfall, and it takes a ton. So you can go back and do a little, show me the evidence right there.
Yeah, what if we're the aliens, man?
We could be,
And it was already there before, and we just our
said it's
descendants
ours.
just
We put our name on it.
Yeah.
That's what
you had then I'd ate your own Jurassic. So you yet?
I'd go back to 3 days after Jesus died on the cross,
okay.
because everybody wants proof,
Yes.
and I believe that it happened.
That's an answer. I like that.
And
It's like, but
so when I'm on your podcast with you, dude, like,
we can go deep into
we're gonna go pretty
Well,
deep.
hey, you're on it right now.
because
So.
Come on
Like,
down.
You will never, and I'm gonna say this again when we do our solo podcast.
Yeah.
Everybody always asks for proof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is no solid proof that you can ever lay down that all of Christianity rides on whether or not he rose from the dead.
True. Yeah.
Jesus was a real person.
Yeah.
There are other historical
Yeah.
documents that
Yeah.
prove that he was a real person.
And
all
there's
this
like
stuff.
there's historical documents about like where things happened to. Like they found
Exactly.
things, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, like you said, yeah, it does all right on that.
It all rides on whether or not he rose from the dead. So that's my answer to this question. It's 3 days after Jesus died, I would go to that day.
Yeah. Because there's obviously enough eyewitness and enough historical evidence to say that, yes, he was killed. So no one can argue that. There was a man named Jesus. He was killed. Now it's, where you get, like you said, into the actual spirituality of it is, did he come back? Yes or no? So to see if it actually happened.
Like that's the proof that like needs to be provided, that all people who want to believe something like it, or in Christianity, that's what needs to be provided in order to prove it.
So
that's what I would go back to. But then at the same time, like people say that they believe the Big Bang Theory happened. Prove that to me.
Yeah.
Prove to me
You're
that
never
the Big
gonna
Bang Theory
know.
happened.
Yeah.
What's your proof for that?
Yeah.
There's not proof for it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go off too much of a tangent on that.
Go crazy.
But so
sound like my conspiracies.
let's say
You can't use us being here as proof that the Big Bang Theory happened, because then I'm just gonna say, well, that's my proof then that God is real because he created us.
I'm not laughing at that. I was thinking something else. That's not appropriate. The only proof you need that we're here is our mom and dad's really liked each other.
Well, that's another thing I'm gonna talk about. So like the argument for all that stuff is like, okay, well, first you have to prove that what is the evidence? Because then you're just looking at evidence, like why you believe something. Look at the evidence. So there's a couple of things that I would talk about, but you talking about mom and dad like each other. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what is love?
Yeah.
Like,
No.
if there is no God
Mm-hmm.
or no higher power, and I'm not even talking about my God, if there's no God in general, is love just a biological way of us keeping our race alive?
Yeah. I think it's an energy more than anything. But I talked
Like,
about it on our
what
podcast
is
about
love
everything being
beyond
energy.
that if there is no God?
Because love is a choice, but also like you to a degree don't even choose how much you love somebody. It's just it grows over time without you noticing it at all.
I mean, love's an emotion, though.
It is, but it's more than that. Unless you don't believe that. Maybe you don't.
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think it's an emotion. And I think that emotion grows, and you continue to build it through your relationships,
Okay.
through the
And
things. But
that's not insane to say.
because it's like if you say love's, then you just think that it's always there, but it's not growing per se. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like I think that you can love all kinds of random things, but that comes through experience, and then your emotions get tied to it,
Yeah.
and then it kind of
I get what you're
begins to
saying.
grow. Because it's like,
But like, where does that come from though?
Yeah.
it's just
like,
who we are.
It's the same thing. Like, where does your conscience come from? What makes murder wrong?
Because we're told it's wrong.
By who?
Are we?
I think so. Well, I mean, if you grew up and let's
Well, okay, let's
let's
look
put
at
it
this
that
up.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's look at serial killers.
Yeah.
Let's look at people who had just the most deprived, deranged homes if we're never taught that it was
Yeah.
wrong. In their heads, they don't think it's wrong. They don't think there's
Okay,
anything wrong with it
And
because they were
that's
never
fair to
taught it.
say. I completely get that. So if we learn it from our parents
Mhm.
and they learn it from their parents, at some point it gets to the point, who was the first person to put it in us that it was wrong?
Well, it's laws. So you can go back, and so if you look at dictatorships and authoritarians and things like that, where basically they lay it out and say, "Hey, these are our rules,"
Mhm.
right? And then if you don't follow them, there was a time and period where you would literally be killed and murdered for it. So
Okay.
it's like even at the simplest things, if you don't pay the taxes, they can
Yeah.
literally chop off your
And
head
that
for it.
and that makes complete sense.
And
But here's
so it starts with that
Yeah.
baseline.
Yeah, go
where
ahead.
It's
Yep.
like, yep, so this is you have to follow these. And then
Yep.
everyone started to follow it. And then it just naturally, and you pick up tendencies. Now, even having a kid, like with Freya,
Yeah.
I see she picks up so many things that we do that
Yeah.
I don't even consciously think about. But it's just one of those things. You just naturally pick it up from parenting and
Yeah.
teaching, and you get
And
those tendencies.
I think you're completely right with it being the laws. Now
Mhm.
my question is deeper. Someone made the laws.
We're gonna get real shallow as soon as we're finished with this one.
Get your shovels out.
So okay, no.
We're
the
digging.
laws. I think you're 100% right with the laws thing.
Yeah.
Now, for those laws to be put into place, someone had to have the idea, and the
Yep.
person that had the idea to have that, how did they think that that's how life should be? Like, how did they get their morals?
Because that's what they wanted to.
But where did that come from, though?
Well, because then you can create it by
I just want to control.
So let's say, for instance, you have the first law. Let's say it's an extreme dictator, and he's just
Yep.
like a super cruel person,
Yep.
kills a lot of people. You're going to get the inverse of that, where people are like, well, I want the opposite of that.
Okay.
I want a lot of love and everything. So then they create their own laws.
And that's
And that's kind of like the base premise of
Okay.
religions is a lot of times when religions were created is because there were so many hardships or things that were negative. And so they flipped it and tried to make it positive and turn it into a belief.
Yeah.
So then you start practicing those things. And then you have all this, it's like a semi tree where everybody has their own kind of borderline baseline of personalities and beliefs.
in
It just keeps
the simplest terms I could put this, it is a nature versus nurture type thing.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, it's way more like specific than that, but like
I don't think that, we were just like created as beings and it's
with consciousness.
we were like downloaded with this programming of love, this, that, and the other thing. I think it's just something that we've become over time.
Yeah.
Because I think if you go farther back enough, that there isn't love. If we are such a privileged society to experience all these emotions and things that we go through with our daily lives, but if you get down to the true prime age of like us as sticks, stones, everything, they didn't have time for emotions. They didn't have time for these things, where it was just purely survival, and that's just kind of what got to them. This now, the emotions and our feelings is more of like a privileged society where we finally got to the point where we can
development of the brain, and I don't mean like physical development, but I think it's like different things trigger different things. Well, like I said in our podcast, like how do we actually know how much of our brain we use?
You don't.
Like what if, and like that's when I'm talking about the higher power. I don't want to get too deep into this. We're freaking talking about Call of Duty and candy. Now we're talking about Jesus Christ. But,
This is the point. This is the point.
But like, what if there's? I said this on our podcast too. Like, what if there's like a chance that we're only using our brains to 80% of the capacity,
Mhm.
and maybe that 20% would allow us to see and understand a higher power, but we don't know that. Like that's just a theory. That's all it's ever going to be.
No,
but, like, what
it's
if?
a good one because then you look at a lot of the old religions and it's used with drugs. And,
Yeah.
a lot of people like to make the argument that you need drugs to kind of
Yeah.
access those different parts of your brain. And, the mainstream likes to turn it against to be like, oh, you're just you're abusing drugs, this, that,
I
and other
think
thing.
you and I both know the mainstream did not want the best for us.
No.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's a
really?
legit conversation where, like you say, a
Yeah.
lot of people, it's how do you access the other parts of your brain? And I think that you need natural chemicals. Now, a lot of those religions too, they use natural herbal and plants and different things like that, where you're not chemically
Especially those old ones.
mixing it up,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, a lot of the people say, well, the environment, exactly, ayahuasca.
Shout out Aaron Rodgers.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm expecting Aaron Rodgers shout out today's pod, but
Hell yeah. But those
Man.
give you the ability. So it's like, but then that's like the earth. So then it's like, then you go into the same conversation. Did somebody put those there,
Yeah.
or were they just there and that gives you the ability to
And
access
that's-
your brain? And we're all intertwined through
Yeah.
that.
and no one's ever gonna know. And I think
No.
that's pretty. I think that's pretty fucking cool.
But that's why we get
Like, would it be
fucked
great
up.
to know? Absolutely.